Hey, how you doing everybody? This is Russell Wilks, IUSSELLWILKS, and this is obviously the Muscle Voodoo online channel. And today I have another question which I've been asked directly. It is from a bunch of people actually about asking questions about expanders, strand pulling, and heavy cables and how to work out them and what exercise is the best, etc, etc. Can I give examples of a simple training routine? This was from Tygon, who's in Berlin, Danielle, who's in Dublin, and a girl, Ingrid, in Denmark. So anyway, look, I've been doing a little bit of training with these, and I've just done essentially I've just done the first start for this. I'm going to give you basically nine simple exercise upper body workout with a strand pull. This is a power push-up 2 from Lifeline Fitness Monkey Bar Gym. I've had it since 2005. So I always start mine with a back press. Put your hands in like this, put it over the top, feel like that. Put it fairly far down your back. This is too light for me, this expander. I can just press that out all day, every day, right? So, but that's the back press movement. You want your arms in a W, like that, exactly the same as in the front side press. You basically just press out from the side, hold your stomach in so it's flat, push out, bang, like that. Okay, I've been already warm up with these. Then an overhead downwards pull to the front. And I like to do these with a static contraction, isometric, then reps, then another one. So again, the hands are in that way. And I want to, this is a bit longer as a strand, you see. Normally a chest expander would be about a third less in length. So I'm going to put this over my head like that, pull it down to the front, hold it into an isometric like this, and then do reps with it. But obviously the reps have to be slow and controlled and resist the negative. Yeah? So you do a few and then hold it in another isometric for X amount of time. Then the third one I did was a front side press. You might have seen me doing this on other videos when you do a front side press. Essentially, when you do a side press, it's exactly like the back press, but it's to the front. Again, you're in a W, straight line from your elbow to your wrist. Bring this up as if you're doing an overhead press or a back squat, that kind of position. Pull it in, and just all you basically do is just press straight out to the side, like that. And you can hold it for time, or you can just press out for reps. Right, the standing overhead press. Someone was asking me how to do the standing overhead press with an expander. Again, put your arms in, so the palms are facing out like that. Flick it over your head. Now, the way you put it down your back depends on how difficult it is. I think this got about 240 pound of resistance. So I flick it over my head like that, doing the back press position, but take it further down my back so that it catches under my latissimus dorsi, my lats, etc., the bottom of my lats. Now, when I press up like this, I want to press up so it doesn't flick off. So that means I've got to lean slightly backwards, press up. And I want constant tension. And a hold, you see? Now, the next one is going to be front press, standing press. I'll do show you a number of different exercises. So there's one called the cross arm inner fly, which is essentially, again, it's going to go over the back as such, like this, like that, over the back. And then you're basically going to bring your arms, pull your stomach in, and what you're going to do is like a pec deck. So you're going to bring it out and around. You see, like that movement. The trick with that is, again, however far down your back it is, the more difficult it is. Then any overhead downwards pull to the back, which is exactly the same as the downwards pull to the front, except obviously you're going to the back, and that's really easy for me, and I can hold that for a long time. But essentially that is the movement, like that, there, like that. You see? Again, you want to maybe hold it for time, do some isometrics with it, etc. The next one is an overhead crucifix pulldown, and I actually want to do this for an isometric. You want to aim to get about 30 seconds isometric. Whilst that's quite a long time to hold a static contraction, static hold, it's absolutely phenomenal for time and attention So which builds obviously an incredible amount of strength, but also power, and to an extent muscularity if you're training more for hypertrophy as opposed to, you know, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy as opposed to a more sarcomeric hypertrophy, which is more muscle density. But it depends what you're going to get. You know, essentially the crucifix pull down is like this. Palms face inwards this time, as this strand is a bit long, but you can pull down like this. You're going to hold, pull down, and just hold like that in a crucifix for time, and maybe count for a few seconds. You can see that basically you want it across your body, and you actually want to arch your back slightly and push your chest up, and hold it. And you're resisting, obviously with every expanded movement, you're resisting the negative as well as doing the positive, because that's the way expanders work. That's the great thing about them, is actually you're resisting the negative when you do the positive, and that's why you get a kind of double bang for your buck, that you get a stronger resistance than you do oftentimes with weights. So that's an overhead crucifix pull down. A low back V press is the next one. Again, this is just literally you put the belt, put the expander around, again depending on how strong you are and how difficult you want to make it to be, if you can see that. But I'll put it down around my lower back. So put it down around my lower back, and all it is like, it's a press out. This is very, very severe on the shoulders, and at first you think you might be doing something wrong. You think, oh, am I impinging my shoulders? But you're not. It's just a very strong shoulder movement. So you're just going to press out in a V shape from close to your body as you can get it, and you won't probably get it out all the way. Just press it and hold it as far out as you can. It's like that. You see, like that. And just keep holding it. It's absolutely mega for the shoulders. Like so. That's a V. That's not a V raise. You can do a V raise with dumbbells, etc., or expander. And a V raise is where you have your hands by your side and you hold a dumbbell and you bring them up at about 30 degrees and hold them for a little static at the top, and then drop them down. That's a V raise, and you do the same thing with expanders. Anyway, that was what I just did was a low V back press, and then I showed you the standing shoulder press. I did the back press or downwards. That's what. And then we've got. And now I've changed the camera angle, and I'm not going to do, as I was saying, I've already done the back press, there, the overheads downward pull to with the palms out, etc. I've done the front side press. I'm just checking. Front side press, standing overhead press, cross arm inner fly, overhead downward press to the back, crucifix, etc. to the front, low back V raise, and the last one out of this simple 9 movement expander set is something called a front cross press. Now a cross press, one of the great things about expanders, really, training with them, is the fact that you don't have to necessarily replicate what you do in a gym with weights, and there's certain movements that you can't really do with weights that you can do very easily with strands, cables, expanders, and that work you in different planes of motion. Obviously with weightlifting, we tend to be working in this frontal range or this frontal plane more than anything. This is a classic example of that. This is called a front cross press, and there's 2 different versions of the cross press. There's a back or rear cross press, which is obviously done behind you, and that is more of a press. What you basically do is your one hand, you obviously imagine if it's behind you, your one hand at the bottom is pressing down, and your upper hand is pressing up. So it's a pure pressing motion. The great thing about this front cross press, though, is it's actually a pulling and pushing motion at the same time. Essentially, you're doing that. So basically, and because you use an expander and you started it out in front of you, as I'll show you in a minute, except the first movement is actually pulling the expander apart and then pressing out. And I like to do this for a hold, and it's quite difficult and doesn't exactly make for great video, really, because it'll be just me sort of doing this hold. But essentially, with the cross press, one hand, palm is facing, the upper hand, palm is facing out, and your lower hand, the palm is facing backwards. So front upper hand is facing out forwards and your rear hand is facing backwards. And what you're essentially doing is the rear hand will do a pulling and then pressing motion. The end pressing motion is a bit like a triceps press down, and it is a very, very strong movement for your triceps. You have to imagine though that when you're using a heavy expander, etc., then you're actually doing heavy work for all of your body. I always say this, you'll feel it in your calves, your legs, your hips, your everywhere, your ass everywhere, because the fact that the resistance, it's a total body movement. So while some of these movements or exercises may think, right, okay, that's more for the triceps and the shoulders. The great thing about expanders, obviously, firstly, is they work a lot of the smaller muscles. So your smaller muscles in your shoulder, your smaller muscles in your back get a lot of work. They work the minor muscles and strengthen those as much as they do the major muscles. Anyway, this is a front cross press. So as I say, you begin with the strand in front of you. Now, obviously, my front hand hooked with the thumb, the rear hand like that. Now, what you got to think is when you're going to just press and pull, or pull and press rather, this. Ready? I'm going to pull it. This is quite longer than a normal expander, but the movement is the same. So I go like that. I'm going to hold it for time. Same thing. It's very difficult. The bottom, my bottom hand, like so, is actually pressing down. It's a really, really strong movement for my triceps tendon and my triceps. And I was hold that there for time. Extend all the way out. Press, 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 and hold. Right? Like so. And then I'm going to change hands, obviously. I want to hold it, it's really nice just to hold a static contraction or a static hold or static, an isometric as such, like that. That's a real big strength builder. You can do reps obviously as well. The thing is that this expander is a little bit too long for doing certain movements, and this is one of them. I'd actually want to use a slightly shorter expander, and you get probably you get more benefit in your close range, in your beginning range as such. I'm going to do another one for time now, and I'll see if I can continue to talk. So again, I'm going to press up, press, pull and press, and hold that down. Press the bottom hand right down, if you can see that. Press it right down. You get a real severe tricep hold there, and then really extend out, so, and hold like that. That's basically the movement, and of course you can do reps with it. Obviously, you don't just have to do isometrics. I can rep out with that. Now, so 1, 2, 3, 4, push down, 5, and then the other way. That again, my triceps are really, really popped up from that movement. It's a real nice movement. As I said, that's the great thing about expanders. Let me do the other side, and then I'll tell you a little bit more, and then I'll shut up. But basically, one thing down like that, bottom one in like that. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this a negative? 5. Right. Those are the great things. That's a simple 9 movement expander set. Nice and simple. You can do that. I'd start sort of doing 10 reps a pop or whatever, and then mix in isometrics with it, etc. The other thing is, like I said, there's lots of really great movements you can do with the expander, with strands and cables and stuff, that you can't do with weights, and that's one of the benefits of them. The secondary benefit of them, of course, is the negative. The positive is the negative, and vice versa. So you get double tension. So anyway, look, like this video, subscribe, etc., etc. To me, in the description will be some kind of product information and all that kind of thing. And I'll be doing more videos. I like getting direct questions. That's nice. Any kind of question you can give me is fantastic. I'll probably answer it. I'll take the time to answer it. And I'll do more videos about expander work later, and also some other sort of lifting odd objects and all that kind of thing. But for now, just remember, when you're using these, obviously, pick an expander that's difficult to use but not impossible, and work your way up to it, and then you can work up to greater and greater resistance. And get one that actually, as I said, this is a little bit too long for some movements. For example, the archer's pull. I just want to mention this actually. The archer's pull. With an archer's pull, when you're pulling a bow, a strong bow, you have a movement where you're pulling and pressing with the front arm and pulling with the rear arm. And I see a lot of people doing the archer's pull and they're doing it wrong. They do this and they go like that, straight back with the rear arm. You don't do that with a bow. You bend your legs slightly and you press up and out, at the same time this one pulls up and back like that, and you end up in that position, almost a Usain Bolt type, boom. And again, that way, like that. Now this is a little bit long. This is too long as an expander to do that movement with, but that's the way you do an artist pull. Right, okay, anyway, I'm going to shut up now. My name's Russell Wilks, R-U-S-S-E-L-L, W-I-L-K-S. My channel's Muscle Voodoo. Subscribe, like, etc., and I'll do more videos. Thanks for your time.